Brian Garton. He's the Associate Dean and Director of Academic Programs here at the University of Missouri Ag School. And first of all, thank you very much for visiting with us today.
Well, Sammy, on behalf of the College of Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resources and the University of Missouri, we want to thank you and the radio station for taking the time out to come up here to Columbia on National Ag Day and talk with us. And I think you're in for a treat, because the four young people that are going to say a lot better things than I'm going to say are sitting right over here and very eagerly awaiting to talk with you.
Yeah, we have 4 students lined up to visit with in a wide variety of different types of agricultural studies up here at the University of Missouri. But I guess that's a good place to start with the University of Missouri College of Agriculture and the Food and Natural Resources. There's a lot of different programs for students to get involved in. How many programs do you have, and kind of what are some of the programs?
Well, we have 15 different degree programs. All of our degree programs revolve around health, animal health, human health. People might be surprised about the human health, but a lot of the research that goes along with our animals is translational into human health. Food, the environment, and also where we live and what we do. That involves an area like Parks, Rec, and Tourism. Like I said, we have 15 different degree programs, ranging from, I'll just give some of them, like agribusiness management to animal sciences to biochemistry, hospitality management. Some folks might find it interesting that hospitality management is in our college, but there's a good connection between hospitality management and food science. And another one is plant sciences. And then a lot of our degree programs will have what we call emphasis areas. I like to think of them as career objectives. So let me give you an example. Let's say in plant sciences, a student's career objective was to focus more on the technology, the advancements in biology. So they'll have a degree in plant sciences, but their emphasis is on breeding biology and biotechnology. To where we would have students that may have more of an emphasis on the crop management side, working with agronomic companies, and so they would have an emphasis in crop management. So they all have a core set of plant sciences courses, but then they have a focus area on their different emphasis areas.
And that's one thing that has really developed and expanded in recent years, is just the technology side of things. It seems like something new is coming out every year, and it really, the students have to really be up on everything to be able to keep up with all of those.
Oh, absolutely. And let me give you an example. I mean, not only in the plant and animal sciences, but one of the new areas that we have coming this year, we have a certificate. A certificate is a small set of very concentrated courses, like in this case, 12 credits. It's in precision agriculture technology. And that's going to be available to undergraduates. It's going to be able to graduates. But then a unique twist to this is because there are producers out there are folks that work with agronomic companies that also want those knowledge and skills, and so they're going to be able to select which pieces of that they want and take through the university extension.
Well, of course, college is a lot of fun, but it's not all about just having fun in college. You're also getting an education and also developing skills to go out into the real world when you graduate. What's employment look like for kids coming out of the College of Agriculture here at the University of Missouri?
Well, the employment right now is really exciting. There's just a recently released study. It's done every 5 years by the USDA. In this case, Purdue University helped conduct the study along with my colleagues across the country in academic programs in land-grant colleges. But it's the projection from now till the year 2020. So I'm going to give you a few little stats. We know that the demand for students in agriculture, food, environment, and the natural resource areas, we know that the demand every year, we need almost 58,000 graduates out of colleges of agriculture and related sciences across the country. About half of those jobs are going into areas like management and business. Now, that's not necessarily meaning you have to have a degree in management business, but you might be an animal science major or a plant science major that then goes into an area of management or business. But they're going to have that background. So about half the jobs are there. About a fourth of the jobs are in science and engineering areas. 12% are in like communications, education, government, and then the other 15% are in the food and the biomaterials, the actual production side of it. Now here's the challenge. We said we needed 58,000. Colleges of agriculture and related sciences across the country, the Mizzous, the Ohio States, the Purdue's, Illinois, Missouri State University down there in Springfield, we're only producing about 35,000 graduates annually. That's only 61%, we're only meeting 61% of the need of graduates in these areas. Now, does that mean companies and corporations don't hire individuals? Absolutely not. But they have to go to areas outside of what we teach. They may have to go to the business school, to human environmental sciences, and they have to fill their demand, they're hiring folks that maybe don't have the agriculture background that they would prefer. So the demand is great.
That is good news that the opportunities are out there for the students once they complete their studies and graduate. There are opportunities awaiting them out there. We talked earlier about the University of Missouri being one of the top ag schools in the country, and a lot of that revolves around because they've got one of the best faculties and staff too. Talk a little bit about some of the instructors here.
Well, we're very proud of our instructors. They work very, very hard. We have 6 of our instructors through the last several years have been named United States Department of Agriculture Outstanding Teachers. This is on a national level. Our college also has 26 Kemper Award winners. That is the highest teaching award that you can receive at the University of Missouri. And so through the years since that was established, we've got 26 of those. Advising is also a really critical piece of teaching. People may not realize that, but advising and mentoring our students is critical. And we've actually had to, just in the last 4 or 5 years, we've had 3 of our advisors, faculty advisors, have not only won the University of Missouri Faculty Advising Award, they've won the state award, then they've got on to win a regional or national award in advising. So that's an year since that was established. Also, we've got 26 of those.
Several
Advising
student
is also
organizations
a really
here on campus as
critical
well, if you
piece
could
of
talk a little
teaching.
bit about some of
People
those.
may not realize that,
we
but
have
advising and
50-plus,
mentoring our students is
student
critical. And we've actually had to, just in the last 4 or 5 years, we've had natural resources like Block and Bridle, which focuses on the animal sciences, or the Biochemistry Club, which is designed for obviously the biochemistry students. There's also almost nearly 800 student clubs and organizations that are within the University of Missouri that we really encourage our students to get involved with. I know when I talk with parents and they ask, well, how involved should my son or daughter get in my first year? I say, don't get over involved, number one, but number 2, whatever you get involved in, really be involved in it. Companies aren't looking for you to be involved in 6, 7, 8 clubs and really not do much in them, because they're going to ask you a question. Tell us about something that you did in the club to make a difference. They want to know that you've made a difference. One of the things I always say about being involved in our clubs and organizations is that you're leading volunteers. There's no harder group to lead than volunteers. It's a little easier for a CEO of a company to lead the company than it is when you're trying to lead a group of volunteers. And so all of our young students, when they're leading a club or organization, they're leading a group of volunteers. A couple stats I would give you is that just a recent survey of our graduates of the last 2 years, 55% of our students participate in a campus-wide student club organization, and 52% have participated in a CAFNR-specific organization. So it's really important that they have the opportunity to practice and explore their leadership and communication skills.
Again, we're visiting with Brian Garton, the Associate Dean and Director of Academic Programs here at the University of Missouri College of Agriculture. And some of the information that Logan provided me to ask you about and talk about today, there's a lot of opportunities for undergraduate research here at the University of Missouri as well, if you could talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. It's interesting that the young folks that come to college today, they come here wanting to do research. Now, not all of them, but a significant number are. Very different from when I came to school in the early 80s. Probably research was the last thing as a student I was probably thinking I was going to be doing. But our students can get involved in research in a variety of ways, but they can get involved as early as their freshman year being mentored in a program called Discovery Fellows. And that's a program to where about 15 of our students in our college, across campus there's others, but they will be paired up with a faculty member in their discipline, and they will get involved in research. They can also work in research laboratories for pay. They can also have a research internship after they've been here for a year or two and they've been mentored by a faculty member. They can apply, and then our Assistant Dean, Sherry Fryermuth, she coordinates that part of the program, but they can design their own research, obviously being mentored by a faculty, and then they get funding to help cover that. I like to use stats, so let me give you one about the research. Thanks to the great work of our Career Services Office, we know that 28% of our recent graduates over the last 2 years have been involved in research on campus. So a fourth of our students, which is pretty significant, get involved in research.
One thing that I saw here in some of the information too that's really nice, that students can get involved in real world activities while they're still going to school, is some of the businesses, the student run businesses here at the University of Missouri.
Absolutely. So not only research, they can get involved in work experience, which can help them towards their job prospects, but Tiger Garden, Buck's Ice Cream Parlor, you've got the Mizzou Meat Market, you've got the Gathering Place Bed and Breakfast. We've already mentioned laboratories, but also like our policy centers. These are all opportunities where the students, some of these are directly tied to certain degree programs. So for example, the Gathering Place Bed and Breakfast is tied directly to students in our hospitality management program, specifically students that are focusing on the lodging management area. But these are great places that students can get involved. It's also, students can earn money, and college is not cheap. And it's a great place that they can not only gain real-world work experience, but also get that money to help them with schools. And we know that 70% of our students work off campus in the last couple of years to be able to afford going to college and living. And then 55% are actually employed right here on campus. So over half of our students are employed on campus.
And if all that's not enough to keep you busy, there's also opportunities to study abroad as well.
Oh, absolutely. Students can go. I always like to say, I don't know if the students will see their reaction over here, the old ABC Wide World of Sports, it would come on, and it's spanning the globe, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat.
I don't think they know what that is.
They don't know? Oh, Garth knows. So I always like to say that because during the winter break, an education doesn't go idle here at the University of Missouri, particularly in the College of Ag, Food, and Natural Resources. Just for example, this past year, we had 80-plus students studying in places like Thailand, Brazil, Italy, New Zealand, and Indonesia for the very first time. Actually, for the whole University of Missouri, it was the very first time that we sent a study abroad program to Indonesia. In addition to that, we have a couple hundred students that are doing like scholars programs and industry tours in St. Louis, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Washington, D.C. for like policy analysis.
Well, it's very exciting, all of the things you have mentioned and talked about, lots of opportunities for students to get involved in, and we do appreciate your time so very much today and visiting with us, and we're going to look forward to talking with some of your students coming up here in just a moment.
I think you're in for a real treat because they're going to be able to follow up with some really specific stories about study abroad and their internships and ask them questions about their research and with this. That's who you really want to talk to.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Brian Garton, the Associate Dean and Director of Academic Programs here at the University of Missouri College of Agriculture. We're going to take a quick little break here, and we're going to start visiting with some of the students they've got lined up to talk to us today. And again, like I said, a wide variety of studies here that we're going to be visiting with, so we're really looking forward to that. Back after this time out here on Farm of the Four States. Back once again, Farm in the Four States here on KRMO AM 990 Ag Source Radio. With you here live today. We're on the road at the University of Missouri in Columbia at the College of Agriculture, visiting with the folks up here, and we've got several students we're going to visit with. Just got through talking with Brian Garton, the Associate Dean and Director of Academic Programs, and the first of several students we're going to be visiting with. We have Juliana Kubiak and Garth Gatson, and first we'll have you two let us know where you're from. We'll start with Juliana. Where are you from?
Sure. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm a junior studying food science here at the University of Missouri.
What about you, Garth?
I'm originally from Vandalia, up in the northeast corner of the state, and I'm a senior animal science major here at Mizzou.
All right, we'll start our talk here, I guess, what we were just talking about when we finished up with Mr. Garton talking about studying abroad. Juliana, you've had that opportunity already to do that.
Yes, I studied abroad in Germany the summer after my freshman year. It was a 2.5-week-long program. It was a food science program. It was really interesting because we were basically in a different city every day, so I saw a lot of Germany and definitely learned a lot while I was there.
What piqued your interest about studying abroad? What got you involved in that and interested in that?
It's just something I've always been interested in, being in college, and this was the perfect program for me to go on, being a food science major. While I was there, we toured a lot of different plants. I toured a cheese plant and a pork processing plant. I also went to some vineyards and wineries and attended some lectures at different institutes there.
So you stayed very busy while you were over there. And I mean, to be able to do something like that, I mean, there's lots of similarities when we talk about agriculture, the way people in different parts of the world do things, but there's a lot of things different and a lot of things to learn by going over and studying abroad.
Perfect. Yes, it was really interesting to compare being a food science major as compared
While
to
I was
now
there,
in America. We toured a lot of
Both of
different
you
plants. I
have
toured a
also
cheese
been
plant, a
involved
pork
in judging
processing
teams here at
plant.
Mizzou, and we'll
I
start with
also went
Garth
to
and
some
talk a little
vineyards
bit
and
about
wineries
your
and
judging team
attended some
experience.
lectures at different institutes there.
Absolutely. I
You
was a
got
member
stayed
of
very
the
busy while
Meats
you were
judging
over
team
there.
here
Yeah, I
at the
mean, to
university.
be able to do
That was a
something
really
like
great
that, I mean, there's
experience
lots
for
of
me.
similarities
You know,
when
coming
we
from
talk
animal
about
science,
agriculture,
coming
the
from
way
a livestock
people in
production
different parts of the world
background,
do things, but there's a lot of things
livestock
different, and a lot
production
of
was
things to
something I was
learn
really
by going
familiar
over and
with, but
studying abroad.
that next step
Yes,
was
it was
something I
really
wasn't as
fun taking
familiar
care
with,
of being a food
and
science
meats judging
major.
really helped to
As compared
bridge
to
that
when I
gap
was
for
there,
me.
we
You know, we
toured
kind of
a lot
have
of
Both
a
of you
saying
have
in the
also
agriculture
been
industry.
involved in
We
judging
think
teams here at
sometimes
Mizzou, and we'll
city
start
people
with
think their food comes from the grocery store, but I would argue there's a lot of livestock producers who think their calves go to the sale barn, and that's not any more true. And so meats judging for me was an opportunity to see that next step in our industry. You know, there's a lot of guys that have been involved with beef production their whole life that have never seen the inside of a beef packing plant. And this was a really good opportunity for me to get to spend hours and hours in that atmosphere and learn about that part of the process and what we do as producers, how that plays down the road.
That's one thing I should ask. Well, I'll ask Juliana here in just a minute, but I'll start with you, Garth. So you came from an agricultural family.
Yes, that's right. I'm from kind of the classic Missouri farm. We've got a few cows, we've got a little row crop ground, but both my parents have jobs in town too. So it's a part-time thing for us, but also definitely a big part of our life.
Since 4-H and FFA are big, not only here in the state, but especially in our portion of the state down in southwest Missouri, did you get involved in things like that as a young age?
Absolutely. That was a big part of growing up for me, and a big part of what led me to major in animal science here at the university is experiences I had as a kid, you know, coming here to the university and participating in livestock judging camps and clinics and so forth, and being involved with projects at home through FFA and 4-H with livestock. And yeah, that was absolutely a big part of growing up for me.
What about you, Juliana? Was your family in agriculture as well?
No, I am from the city. I didn't really know what 4-H and FFA were until I came to Mizzou and came to Kaffner, but definitely learned a lot. It's been a different perspective, which has been interesting.
Well, you've been involved in judging as well. What teams were you on?
I was on the dairy product evaluation team, and this was a great opportunity for me to really learn about the dairy industry and applying things I had learned in my classes to the dairy product evaluation team.
You've both been involved with the internship program here at the university also. We'll start with Garth. What did you intern in, and what did you learn from that?
The internship program's been tremendously beneficial to me, a huge part of my education. 2 summers ago, I spent the summer in north central South Dakota on Rock Hills Ranch, kind of a classic Western ranch. Learned a lot about beef production in that part of the country. They're really environmentally focused, so I learned a lot about conservation and environmental stewardship and so forth while I was there. This past summer, I went a little further south. I went to south central Oklahoma to the Samuel Roberts Noble Foundation there in Ardmore, and got to see a taste of what they do. They're a really unique foundation that's not for profit, but they do a lot of really good agriculture research and also do a lot of work with producers in their area, working on best practices and so forth through a nonprofit consulting service. So I was involved with that and got to see a lot of different kind of issues that we don't face in my part of the world that are very important to producers in other places.
What about you, Juliana? What did your internship consist of?
So I was a production intern for Davisco Foods International, which is a cheese company, and I interned at their plant in Lake Norden, South Dakota. And while I was there, my main project was to update the standard operating procedures. But once I was done with that project, I was able to see other areas of the plant, such as the quality assurance, the food, microbiology, and analytical labs, as well as research and development.
Again, we're visiting with a couple of the agricultural students here at the University of Missouri in Columbia, Garth Gatson and Juliana Kubiak. And Garth, you're getting close to graduating, just a couple of more months, and you're going to be out here and out into the workforce world. So what are you looking forward to with that?
A change of pace. You know, I've really enjoyed my time here at the university, but if it's done its job, which I think it has, I'm ready for something different. And so I'm looking at starting graduate school as a research assistant here in later this summer at Kansas State University, looking at ruminant nutrition. And I think my undergraduate education here has prepared me really well for that.
When you look back at your time here at Mizzou, what do you look back and really look back with fond memories of?
You know, there's a lot of things. My internships were great experiences. I tell people if you do it right, you can learn as much during the summer on an internship as you do during a semester of class. I've learned a lot from class. You know, I've taken classes in just about everything Kaffner has. I've had classes in biochemistry, plant science, ag economics, ag systems management. So a little bit of everything. I've learned a lot from that. Learned a lot from the meats judging program. But to me, the number one thing, the best thing Kaffner's got going is still the people. You know, from instructors to people I go to class with, the people I've met here have really been top notch and have made my experience here a really positive thing.
You come from an ag background, so if there's some high school students out there considering to come to Mizzou and get involved in the College of Agriculture, what kind of advice would you offer them?
I tell them to take advantage of their opportunities. You know, there's so many here on campus that sometimes you got to sort through them a little bit. But I would encourage students not to neglect or undervalue the opportunity that classroom education here at the university is. I mean, you're learning from the very best in the world in many cases, and they really have a desire to teach you, to help you learn. And I think if students make a conscious effort in class, there's a lot that can be learned from our professors here at the university, and that's something that's certainly been beneficial to me.
What about you, Juliana? You come from a non-ag family, but you got involved with the ag program here at Mizzou. What advice would you give to a student out there that maybe comes from a non-rural setting but is looking to get involved in agricultural industry or in, their agricultural education?
Sure, I would just say to honestly apply for everything and just try and get involved as much as you can. I do a lot with the College of Agriculture, and I initially came here for food science to be in Kaffner. There's so many great opportunities, and just applying for everything, it opens up a lot of doors.
Well, we thank you both for visiting with us today. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck with your futures. I know Garth getting ready to graduate, and Juliana's got a little time left here at Mizzou, but good luck and with everything down the road.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Garth Gatson and Juliana Kubiak visiting with us here today, two of the students here at the University of Missouri College of Agriculture, and we're going to visit with a couple of more students coming up after this break, but a quick word from our sponsors. Back with more Farm in the Four States right after this. Continuing their studies, up next we have Jake Herniak, and he is a student in agricultural economics, and then the other name will be a name you're probably a little familiar with if you've been tuned in to Farm in the Four States in the past several years, because she summer interned with us between high school and college, Lee Yang. And you probably remember her. She's been on the airways with us in the past, and she is studying here at the University of Missouri as well in science and agricultural journalism. Lee and Jake, both thank you very much for taking time today to visit with us.
Appreciate you having us.
Thank you, Sammy.
Well, we'll start with Lee, and of course, you've had some experience in the world of media as you got started in that coming right out of high school, and now you're here, a journalism major at the University of Missouri. Tell us a little bit about how that's all been.
Oh, it's been so great. I mean, my start with you guys, it really did set me up for this as well. Mizzou has an amazing journalism program and an even more amazing agricultural program as well. Both schools, both colleges have provided me with so many opportunities to work in almost every medium of journalism. I've worked with radio, obviously with you guys, with television broadcast through KRMO TV, that's through the university. I've had the opportunity to work with Farm Journal Media, an amazing magazine as well. Worked with their Hunger You program, also nonprofit that spreads the word about hunger to everyone as well. And then I've also had the great opportunity to work and also promotional videos as well too. So currently I'm working with the College of Ag, Food and Natural Resources, and just making really fun promotional videos for the college as well.
And of course, being here on National Ag Week, that's kind of what National Ag Week and National Ag Day is all about, is getting the word out to the public about what the agricultural industry does and how it feeds the world. And so you're involved directly with that in your journalism studies.
Yes, definitely. Through every class I've had, I found I've written at least one or two stories primarily on agriculture, and I'm mixed in with a lot of students who don't come from an ag background. So they're always curious, why do you do this? Why are you telling us this? And, my answer is, this is so important. Agriculture is so vital, and everyone needs to know about it because it touches every one of us in one way or another. A lot of people think of agricultural production as, maybe crop or livestock production, but it's more than that. It's obviously food. It provides us with raw materials for textile. It provides us with oil as well too. And not only that, agriculture is the number one employer in the nation. So it provides everyone with job opportunities. And it comes back to us one way or another, whether you grew up on a farm or not. Wherever you're working at, agriculture is there.
And of course, your family, of course, you come from the Wheat, Missouri area right there in southwest Missouri, and your family's involved in agriculture. So you've been in it from the beginning and seen it growing up as a youngster, and now here you are in college pursuing the same type of things.
Yes, definitely. And I'm very grateful that my parents did move us down to a farm. I mean, I think I was in third grade whenever we did that. And from the beginning, I didn't like it from the beginning, but I really appreciate it because agriculture has so many opportunities, and it teaches you not only prepares you for job opportunities and everything, but it prepares you for life, period. You work hard, you understand what it takes to be in agriculture, and it gives you those morals and those ethics that really sets you up for life.
Jake Herniak also with us here today. Jake, where are you from?
I am from Kirksville, Missouri.
Did your family were they involved in agriculture, or is this something that you got started with once you got into school?
I'm somewhat new. So my dad was in the Army for 28 years, made a career out of it. Didn't have the chance to grow up on a farm, moved around every 2 to 3 years. And it's just been recently that my parents have bought some farm ground and just now getting involved. So I'm a newbie, so to say.
Well, I see with some of the information that they've given us, you've been involved with the Agricultural Future of America in a number of different ways. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. Agriculture Future of America is a great organization, near and dear to my heart. I was very fortunate to serve on the student advisory team, which is the face of the organization. And what we were responsible for were planning and facilitating our anchor event, so to say, which is Leaders Conference that happens every November in Kansas City. I also have been involved in numerous institutes that they have, the Crop Institute, Policy Institute, Food Science Institute, Animal Institute, where they kind of taper down to those specific industries. And also have been a delegate for 2 years, which is just a great experience to go there, see all of your peers from all across the country that are just passionate and fired up about agriculture. And it really opens your eyes because you see West Coast agriculture, which is completely different from Midwest agriculture, which is different from the East Coast agriculture and every region in between. So it's a definite eye-opener, and AFA is just a great organization to be involved with.
And to be involved in the study of economics in agriculture, too, that's got to be really fascinating because I know every year we're fortunate to have Dr. Scott Brown come down and visit with us at the Dairy Day and Beef Conference there in Monette and stuff. And just to hear some of the numbers that you guys are involved with and some of the things you guys have to keep up with, it definitely is a busy, busy time, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at a lot of numbers, how do you, become the most productive but most efficient, maximize your yield potential or, the weight gain, that type of stuff. So, just that AFA, for example, you learn about all these different aspects of agriculture and you hear all these numbers and my mind just starts spinning on how do I maximize efficiency and productivity, and it's just a great experience.
We talked about earlier about some of the student organizations here at Mizzou, and particularly with some of the folks we're visiting with today. And Lee, it says you got involved with the Mizzou Rock Climbing Club. How did that get started?
Is that funny? Rock climbing club. Freshman year, I mean, everyone wants to make friends. Everyone wants to find their connection or their place here on campus. And Mizzou does such a great job offering resources for, incoming freshmen or even current students to find an organization to be involved in, because that sets you up for building friendships. It sets you up for leadership opportunities as well too. And so one of the resources Mizzou they have in the beginning of the year is they kind of have like a organization fair. And so that's kind of where I went, got to meet a lot of different organizations. And coming into college, I thought I want to do at least one or two things that has to do with my major. And I want to do one more thing that really sets me up for, to use leadership skills. And then one more thing just to be for fun, and that's why I joined the Mizzou Rock Climbing Club. And very different people, I'm very used to, I come from a really small town, agriculture, and that's what everyone does, farm kids. Being a rock climbing club, I'm involved, hanging out with kids who, are from the urban areas, and they surf and everything. That's all they do in life too. So it teaches you, to adapt and learn learn about other people and their things as well too. And so Mizzou does a wonderful job. They have 750 plus organizations and clubs. Kafner has several as well too. That really sets you up for leadership skills.
Well, I know rock climbing, there's several places you can practice between here and Jeff City, so there's plenty of opportunities for you to get out and do that, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we, here in Columbia, they have amazing rock, people may not know, we have some parks. There's one, Capon Park. It's just literally 2-3 minutes down the road, and that's where we normally go out and do that as well. Mizzou Rec, we have an amazing rock wall inside where that's where we normally practice if it's too cold or if it's too rainy as well too. We make some trips as well, and that's, I love that I've joined so many great organizations because it's allowed you to travel to places to meet new people as well. And we've gone, actually, there was one place in Kentucky. We went to Horseshoe Bend as well too, and so I haven't been since last year, but it's been too busy.
And that's one thing I'm glad you mentioned about that over where the rock wall is here on campus. If folks haven't been up here to Columbia in the last 10 or 15 years, they need to come back up and check out all the new additions to the university campus system here, because they're advancing all the time. They're adding things all the time. And I make a couple of trips up here a year, if nothing else, just to come watch ball games. And every time you come up, you see something new and something different. And it's an ever-evolving campus, that's for sure. And I'm glad to hear that what you talked about, it's easy to get involved with student activities here on campus, to get involved. And then you get to meet a lot of different people from all parts of the country and all parts of the world.
Yeah, definitely. And Mizzou, I love this about Mizzou and Kafner too. They have students reach out to students, and that's the best, because if you're an incoming freshman, I'm going to be terrified talking to a faculty or staff member, saying, hey, join this or something. And that's kind of intimidating too. I mean, they're smart. They're so smart. And so having another student, a current student who reaches out to you and can relate to you, they've gone through this before too, it helps so much more too. And that benefits, and that allows us to, make friends. That's where it starts.
And you hear the students saying KFNR a lot, and that's the College of Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resources. KFNR, a lot easier to say than that mouthful of other words. But Jake, you're another student that's going to be graduating coming up here in May, so you're just about through here with Mizzou. When you look back, what's one of your most valuable experiences you've had while going to school here?
Definitely. I'm really excited to graduate. Just wanted to put that out there. But one of the most valuable experiences, best experiences I'm going to look back on, Garth kind of took my answer, but it's the people. Every day they show up with a smile on their face, and they want to help you succeed, and they want to put you in positions to succeed. And I'll be forever grateful for that.
And that's one thing, once you do graduate from college, you're going out into the workforce. Talk a little bit about how the College of Agriculture here really prepares you for that.
Yeah, most definitely. So the faculty and staff, phenomenal, top notch. I'm going to walk away from this university knowing that I have a top notch bachelor's degree. And then it's the services that they offer. KFNR has career services, which if you are not involved in career services while you're here at Mizzou, you need to be involved, because there are Mrs. Chipman and Mrs. Kinney do a great job with their networks. They know so many industry people. If they don't know that person in particular, they know someone who does know them. And then the different events that they put on, such as practice mock interviews before the career fair where you're actually going to do an interview. So I've done that I think 2 years where I did that. I did a couple interviews before I actually did a real interview, and what do you know, it led to a job because I was there practicing it. I knew what to expect. And then the peer mentors and coaches. KFNR students want to get involved and help other KFNR students, and KFNR is just always giving back, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
And Lee, what about you in ag journalism, being prepared to go out into the workforce once you graduate someday?
I have, they prepared me so well. The science and agricultural journalism, they kind of have double programs. So it's with the School of Journalism and KFNR too. So with both colleges, I've been so blessed to work with both colleges. And so School of Journalism, they kind of just throw you out there. And maybe that's the best way to teach students. And that's how it's taught me. They throw you out into the field, and you have to go out there. You report, you find your own stories. They better be accurate. And you have to learn how to use all these programs. And that's what real world newsrooms use right now too. So it really prepares you for that too. And with the KFNR side, it's taught me through the classes. The only word that I can say is they have real classes that really teaches you and prepares you for the world. I've taken a sales class and a business communication class, and those two have been the most beneficial, and that's through KFNR. It teaches you how to, simple things that you wouldn't even think of, how to properly write an email or a memo, or just to talk to people too. And in sales, it teaches you obviously how to sell things to people, but every aspect that we've learned in that, I think it teaches you just how to communicate with other people. And those two have been the most important classes that I've taken personally, or my opinion, because it's really shaped the way that I talk to employers or how I send out, communicate to other people too. So CAFNR has done an amazing job with that.
Lee Young and Jake Herniak, a couple of the other students here at the College of Agriculture at the University of Missouri, visiting with us here today. Thank you both very, very much for taking time and sharing your experiences with us.
Thanks for coming by, Sammy.
And of course, Jake, he said he's never done a radio interview before, but he gave us the perfect segue because he was talking about career services. And that's where we're going to go next. When we come back from this break, we're going to talk with some folks from the Career Services Department here at the University of Missouri. But first, a word from our sponsors. Why does that happen here at the University of Missouri?
Well, Sammy, after interviewing our students, I'm going to start with the obvious answer.
Yeah.
I might be a little biased, but we have fantastic students. In addition to that, I think we really promote a culture of career preparation. So from the first year on, we're asking students, where do you want to go? What kinds of careers are you interested in? Encouraging them to generate those possibilities, and then two, really use the time they have here at Mizzou to prepare. And you heard the students talking about all that they're doing in classes, but you heard them talk about a lot that they're doing outside of classes too. And that culture, it's not just us in career services talking about that, it's the faculty, it's really supported all over the college.
And when you hear, like Mr. Garton was talking earlier, about all the opportunities that are available out there, the workforce is needing more ag industry students than what is being turned out by the universities across the country. So there are plenty of opportunities available.
There are indeed, and we're supporting some of those industries that are super high need: agriculture, biotech, tourism, some of the areas that are most important to Missouri's economy as well. We've formed strong partnerships with many employers in those areas. Those partnerships are causing those employers to come back and
the workforce is needing more ag industry students than what is being turned out by the universities across the country. So there are plenty of opportunities available with the industries out there because that way you're familiar with them, they're familiar with you, and when a student needs some placement in a specific area, you already have kind of an idea of where to go and what to look for.
To Missouri's economy as well.
That's
We've
absolutely
formed
true.
strong
And
partnerships
students can benefit
with
from
many
those
employers.
relationships as well, just for the help that you guys can give them when they're starting to graduate and go out and look into the workforce.
You're exactly right. And I think those connections, for the obvious reasons of our students who are seeking opportunities, are helpful, but also from an educational standpoint. How are we learning from our industry partners and the connections we have to make sure that our students are prepared with the employability skills that they need to go work in industry? And then from the second angle, how can we use those connections and those industry partners to help do the education with the students? So Jake mentioned mock interviews specifically. We have employer partners who come in and provide mock interviews for current students. That's a great practice, but it's also great networking. So resume reviews, job shadowing, mock interviews, we're using those connections frequently. And it's a great way for our Ag Alumni Association to even partner with us. And we see a strong connection with the KAFNR alumni group.
Yeah, because we were talking earlier, a couple of the
Jake
students had
mentioned mock
internships, and those are so
interviews
great to be
We
able to
have
get involved
employer
in and
partners
help
who
develop
come
those
in
skills that
and
you need to go out into
provide
the
mock
workforce. But what you
interviews
just pointed
for
out
current
about
students.
resumes and
That's
things
a
of that
great
nature and
practice, but it's
interviews,
also
because
great
that's something that's
networking.
changing all the
So,
time.
resume
Employers are
reviews,
asking
job
different
shadowing, mock
questions, looking for
interviews,
different
we're
type
using
things
those
so to be able to
connections
know how to respond to
frequently.
those and be
And it's a great way for our
comfortable
Ag
responding to
Alumni
those questions that you're going to be
Association to even
receiving.
partner with
You guys
us.
can
And
prepare them
we
for
see
that
a
here before they
strong
ever leave
connection
college.
with the KAFNR alumni group. You know, we always
Yeah,
think
because
about
we were
what
talking
questions
earlier, a
are
couple of the
they
students had
doing in mock
internships, and those are so
interviews
great to be
We
able to
have
get involved
employer
in and
partners
help
who
develop
come
those
in
skills that
and
you need to go out into
provide
the
mock
workforce. But what you
interviews.
just pointed
How
out
do I know
about
this is
resumes and
right?
things
That's
of
a
that
great
nature and
practice, but it's
interviews,
also
because
great
that's something that's
networking.
changing all the
So,
time.
resume
Employers are
reviews,
asking
job
different
shadowing, mock
questions, looking
interviews,
for
we're
different type
using
things
those connections
so to be able to
frequently.
know how to respond to
And it's a
those and
great
be
test drive the career options too. And we know from our research that 7 out of 10 students in the past graduation cohort had internships, and over 90% of
You heard Dr. Garton mention research internships as well. So when you look at what our students are experiencing, both in the classroom and out of the classroom, I think we're doing all kinds of things to prepare them for post-graduation success. It's truly a focus.
And of course, we talked about a couple of the students that we visited with today are going to be graduating here in a couple of months, but what are the ones that want to go into the graduate study program? What benefits and programs are offered there?
We have graduate programs that parallel almost all of our undergraduate programs here at the University of Missouri. And of course, you heard K-State. I think Jake is looking maybe up north. So they're looking at other very competitive programs as well. They're choosing those programs for a number of reasons. Some of the students, for example, if you want to be an agronomist, many of our employers are requiring a master's degree to go into that specific profession. Biotechnology. If you want to conduct your own line of research, a PhD or at least a master's degree would be required in a scientific area like biochemistry, plant sciences, animal sciences. So we see the students going on for a number of, I guess, for the reason that they need that to pursue their specific career dream. But some students, quite honestly, also fall in love with learning while they're here and are going on simply because they feel like it's going to enrich their lives to learn more. And finally, we also see students, it's kind of interesting, I'm thinking specifically of one student who, he was an undergraduate biochemistry major and then went on and pursued an MBA. Now some people say, that's kind of an odd combo. And I asked him, why'd you do that? He wants to work in the biotech industry and said, I think this biochem degree, which is not known as a cakewalk degree around here, will really set me apart and help me to distinguish myself in the industry. I'm going to get the business acumen I need from my MBA, but that undergraduate degree is going to be pretty unique as a business person.
And that's one thing when you start down some of these paths, for lack of a better word, the information and the education becomes kind of addictive. You want to learn more. You want to find out more about a certain subject. And like you said, you've got students branching out, going two different directions to get different types of education. So anything that you can hardly or just about think of here, the University of Missouri can provide and help students with.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great benefit. As a career services person, what we want students to understand is you don't have to come to us absolutely decided about what you want to do. As Whitney said, those internships and other experiences give students an opportunity to learn more about themselves, learn more about the world. The great thing about Mizzou is we have so many options and resources that as you're learning and growing, we can help you to sort of navigate a path.
Yeah, because that is so important to have that assistance too, because as we were talking earlier, we've got students traveling abroad, learning things from different parts of not only the country, but different parts of the world, and it has become the international study of things. Agriculture, it's worldwide. Everyone has to eat. Everyone has to provide that food. So there's lots of different avenues students can participate in and go towards.
And what I love about, ag being so global and current technology and information and communication opportunities, we have students who might not ever physically meet an alumni who's on the same career path they want to take, but they can connect with them virtually through LinkedIn or email or phone calls and be able to learn from that alum or that connection in the industry what they need to be doing and what they should be learning if grad school is the best option for their career goals. So it's really made our network much more close, even in a global scale.
And one thing with the availability of technology today to be able to stay in touch so much easier than it was. Do you find that more nowadays with alumni from the university helping out with the students that are looking to graduate and helping out with careers like that?
Absolutely. And I think anytime that we're reaching out to alums, we almost always get a 100% yes, please connect me, because our alumni are so generous to offer the advice that they do have to current students.
Well, it's a very informative thing to have, and a great service that the university offers to help students once they complete their education to go out and be involved and find job placements, because that's one thing that some students get a little scared about. They're thinking, oh, my education's about to come to an end and now I got to go find a job, but you guys help them navigate that.
And I would say many of our students actually, or seniors, have their jobs even in the fall semester. We celebrated this fall our career fair. We had the largest contingency of employers there, also the largest number of students walk through the career fair. And I would say that typically of the students who are seeking post-graduation full-time positions, we have a large percentage who are successful in landing roles certainly by winter break. So that makes the second semester a little bit more relaxing for that group of seniors.
Well, it sounds great. We appreciate your time visiting with us here today. Thank you so very much, Stephanie Chipman and Whitney Kinney from the Career Services Department here at the University of Missouri College of Agriculture. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks, Sammy.
Pleasure.
We're going to take another break here. We're going to be back to continue our visit here at the University of Missouri as we continue on with Farming the Four States here on this Tuesday. Now we're going to visit with somebody from back in our neck of the woods. He's made the trip up from Southwest Missouri today, too, and we appreciate his time. It's David Cope, the Southwest Research Center Superintendent. Of course, the Southwest Research Center right there south of Mount Vernon on Highway H. And, David, we appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Well, talk a little bit. People hear me talk about it all the time on Farm of the Four States, happenings at the Southwest Research Center. You have the field day every year. People know that, and they know a little bit about what goes on there. But a lot of people, when they're driving up and down I-44, they're on the outer road, they see it, they see the signs, but they don't really know what all goes on there. What are some of the things you do there at the Southwest Research Center?
Well, the Southwest Center was bought by the university in 1959. It was bought there. We've got a variety of soil types. That was I believe one of the main draws at the university, like that location. You know, we've got some prairie ground there on the south and the west. We've got some rolling hills to the north, and we've got that spring river bottom. So there was a draw there to soil scientists wanting to have one place they can go to get a variety of forage work done in one location. And of course, it's been there ever since. But obviously, being in the heart of Lawrence County, we're in the heart of Missouri's cattle country, so we can do a variety of cattle research, both beef and dairy, as well as forage research. But some of the other things that we do that a lot of folks may not know is we've got a lot of horticulture work going on there. We do a lot of work with black walnuts, pawpaws, pecans. We do some elderberries. Just started a blackberry project with a new trellis system. We also have a vineyard on site that many folks see on Highway H as they drive by the office. So we've got a variety of research experiments being conducted at any given time.
And that's one thing about Southwest Missouri is the diversity of agriculture that we see there. You've got everything from the livestock production to the row crops, as you pointed out, the horticulture industry, of course, that used to be in years past strawberry capital of the Midwest, and there's still people starting to raise strawberries again. You've got the fruit growers and the orchards there in the area as well. And you see a lot of the resurgence of different types of things that maybe have disappeared, but now they're coming back as people are trying to find different ways to get income in the world of agriculture. And you guys do a lot of research on that right there at the center.
That's right. You know, some of the things that we're doing right now.
The horticulture industry, of course, that used to be in years past strawberry capital of the Midwest, and there's still people starting to raise strawberries again. You've got the fruit growers and the orchards there in the area as well, and you see a lot of the resurgence of different types of things that maybe have disappeared, but now they're coming back as people are trying to find different ways to get income in the world of agriculture. And you guys do a lot of research on that right there at the center.
That's right. You know, some of the things that I think they're doing right now.
The horticulture industry, of course, that used to be in years past strawberry capital of the mid.
Going on right now. One of the things we started this spring is some alfalfa baleage creep feed trials on beef calves. I think that will be interesting as a forage creep feed trial. And then one of the things I'm interested in is see if there's any compensatory gain on those calves that were not creep fed on the back end. So those are some of the things we're doing. We've recently got some young Holstein heifers in. We're going to be doing some dairy heifer development work, looking at body condition score and first round conception rates on various diets. Another example, we've got an alfalfa study measuring crop failure rates, insurance studies. We've got a new variety trial of bird's foot trefoil, looking at coming up with a new cultivar that is drought tolerant, that works well for Southwest Missouri. Many of the listeners may have read about or seen the new blackberry grant that we've got, looking at a new trellis system. So that's going to be coming online this spring as well. And so we've also got, of course, the variety trials of black walnuts, pecans, pawpaws, and then within the vineyard. You know, many folks see the vineyard and think, though, that's one experiment, but there's also a variety of rootstocks that we're looking at. We have a variety of irrigation methods, trials, and then establishment experiments. So those are going on at any one particular time. And of course, we've always got other things in the works that we're visiting with researchers and trying to accomplish as well.
Of course, one thing I left out, you got the dairy facilities there as well. You've been doing a lot of research on that also, and a lot of dairies there in our neck of the woods.
There is. We've closed the milking facility down, but we're looking to continue doing research, and we've got those dairy heifers in to continue doing research on the dairy side. Yes.
Well, you've got several things coming up on the calendar here this spring, and of course, one's coming up at the end of this month, the Fescue Renovation School. Along with that, if you could talk a little bit about that, and then what are some of the other things you've got that'll be coming up?
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, March 29th, we've got the Alliance for Grassland Renewal, the novel Tall Fescue Renovation School. I attended that last year. If there's anyone out there that is interested in establishing novel endophytes in their existing locations, you know, there's a specific way of doing that. You don't want to have your old fescue, your Kentucky 31, interseeded and have it still in that same location that you've got your novel endophytes. You want to get it completely wiped out, and there's a process that needs to take place to do that. So this is a great school to get that accomplished. We mentioned the blackberries. There's a blackberry workshop on April 20th talking about the new trellis system and establishing blackberry plantings. For those that are interested in beekeeping, we've got a beekeeping workshop for beginners. That takes place May 7th. May 10th through May 12th, there's a Southwest Center grazing school for those interested in intensively managing their pastures and increasing their grazing capacity. That would be a great place to learn about that. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't advertise our field day here. We're going to do something different this year. We're going to go with a Saturday field day. That will be September 10th this year. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully being able to allow folks that work during the week to be able to bring their families out on September 10th, and we look forward to doing that this year.
Again, we're visiting with David Cope, the Southwest Research Center superintendent. They're the Southwest Research Center just south of Mount Vernon off of Highway H, and there's a reason why we say Southwest Research Center. It's just one of several research centers the University of Missouri has throughout the state, and it's important to have those located at different portions of the state because, as you pointed out, Southwest Missouri has different types of things that are benefit of their region, but then when you go to northern Missouri, they've got different types of agriculture up in that area. So to have those different research centers, I should say, spread throughout the state, that's very beneficial to have. And how important is a lot of that research that's done there to benefit local farmers and ranchers?
Well, that's a great question. You know, when the Hatch Act was passed, I believe it was 1887, to fund ag research centers throughout the country, you know, that was one of the things that they wanted to do was not have research done at the specific university location. They wanted to get the research done where the actual people are. And of course, you know, we all know that Mount Vernon, where the research is a long way from Mount Vernon. You know, we're close to 200 miles away from Columbia. So the centers are out in the country across the state where the people are, and we work to solve real problems for real people where they live and work. And one charge given at the time when the Hatch Act was passed was to find causes and cures for diseases in plants and animals, and we're still doing that today. But one of the things that I think we have a strong charge to do is to have the opportunity to try things that many producers either don't have the time, maybe the resources, the knowledge, the money, or maybe they perhaps don't have the nerve to try themselves. Maybe they don't want to waste a growing season or a calf crop on trying a certain thing. So in many ways, research now is about finding efficiency, perhaps doing more with less and producing more on the same inputs. And we're seeing that now with our fescue work here. And we know that God's not making any more land. We know urban sprawl has taken fewer and fewer acres that are in production every year. We're taking more land out of production, and we've got to find new ways to feed the growing world population, and to do it at a time when input costs are increasing, when many market prices are decreasing, and total land available for production is decreasing. So I think that's where the research centers can really help out is finding those efficiencies in the production processes in the systems and to produce more with fewer inputs. And of course, we know that we can't get that information out to the producers without the great help of our extension agents and our cooperative extension service in the state. And that's one of the things that we have in Southwest Missouri, as well as all over the state of Missouri, is a great set of extension agents. And we're really proud to have some great ones to work with in the state.
And that's one thing. If somebody drives by and they see something out there they have interest in or have questions about, they need to contact their county extension office first, and then they can direct it to anyone out there at the research center if they need to. But a lot of those questions can be answered right at the extension office because they're directly involved with you guys pretty much on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's right. You know, a lot of that research comes from here, but in the grand scheme of things, they're more knowledgeable about certain issues than myself or even some of the folks there at the center are. So they're a great point of contact. They're specialists in their area. Of course, those in Southwest Missouri know Eldon Cole in Lawrence County, the livestock extension agent, and Reagan Buell in Berry County on the dairy side, and Tim Stonkenberg, Stone County on the agronomy side. So those are just examples of great folks that we deal with on a daily basis that are very helpful and are great to work with.
And you had mentioned the field day in the fall too, and I, from a personal standpoint, think that is just a great program to have every year, not only to help educate the general public and the ag community, but what you do for the youth of agriculture as well, with the 4-H groups and the FFA groups getting to come in and see what goes on there at the research center, because a lot of these 4-H groups and FFA chapters don't have the facilities or the areas to do some of this hands-on type of thing. They can just read about it in a book, but then during field day they can actually go over to the research center and see some of that stuff up close and personal.
That's exactly right. The day before our field day, we have an ag education day, and we'll typically have 2,700 kids from about 50 schools in the area that will come out and learn about what's going on at the center. We'll have researchers talk about different things that they're doing, not only at Southwest Center, but in other centers around the state. And not only that, but they'll demonstrate new technology that's being used. One of the hits for the last several years running was Bruce Burdick, the superintendent of the Hunley Whaley Research Center, came down and gave a presentation on drones. And a lot of the folks, the kids especially, were very interested in that, and that was a big hit, showing how those drones were utilized not only for crop scouting, for instance, but also looking at flood damage. Some of the kids thought they could use that to check their cattle with, or use that to scout deer with, for example. I'm not sure the legalities of that, but young kids, they could come up with any reason to con their parents into buying a new toy. But technology is certainly increasing, and the way it gets tied back to agriculture and to help the production practices become more efficient is something that excites kids, and certainly field day is no different. Any way we can help producers and get the public out and let them know what we're doing, what we're all about, and how we can help strive to increase producers' bottom line, help them make them more productive and more profitable. I think we're doing a great deed when we do that.
And it was always nice to see about how effective that field day and the education that day was too, because you had a few students that they just signed up to go along because they got out of school for a day, but then you would hear them several weeks later talking about something they saw that day, or something would come up during class and they would refer back to something that happened that day. So it was sinking in.
Yeah. I remember that myself. It was great to get out of school, but there's always a few things you pick up and you remember. One of the things that's stuck out to me that several kids mentioned was putting EPDs. We took some white paint, and Eldon Cole, we got out with him and helped him put EPDs on the side of a big black Angus bull in white paint, and that really helped them to utilize that bull as a billboard and help them to picture what EPDs really did and what they meant by having that in a way that was significant to them, by having the bull as a walking billboard with his numbers, with his production numbers. So things like that and different ways that you can use to get your point across, I think goes well to get kids thinking. And to me, that's part of our charge as well, not only on the research and the education and the demonstration side, but also recruitment. And if we can get some kids thinking about how they can utilize agriculture, how they can become more involved in agriculture and want to come to Mizzou to better their education, to better their communities, and use what they learned at the Research Center to come here and be a better citizen in their community, I think then we've accomplished our task.
Well, we appreciate very much your time today visiting with us. We appreciate all the work you and your staff do out there at the Southwest Research Center again, and thank you very much.
You bet, Sammy. Thanks for having us.
David Cope, the superintendent of the Southwest Research Center, University of Missouri Research Center there south of Mount Vernon, just off of Highway H. As I mentioned, anytime you're traveling up and down Highway H or I-44 just south of Mount Vernon, you'll see all the work going on out there at the Research Center. Well, we need to take one more break. We've got another guest lined up, and we'll be back to visit with them right after this.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I guess first of all, let the people know a little bit what the Kaffner Foundation is all about and its mission and its goals.
The Kaffner Foundation was started in 1932, and I think the neatest thing about our foundation is we truly live the mission of the college. We were put in place to further agricultural research and education for the state of Missouri, and we do that in cooperation with Kaffner. Our goal is really to enhance their projects and get the word out in the state about the college and agriculture as a whole. As obviously everyone knows, agriculture is the #1 industry in the state of Missouri, and we want to make sure that everyone is buying into that, understands the influence that the farmers have, agriculture as an industry has, and we work to help the college work on their projects, whether it's education, whether it's with their research farms, whether it's with the students, and that's our goal. We've been doing it for 84 years.
What are some of the things you do to help promote the university?
Well, interestingly enough, if you go down College Avenue here in Columbia, we bought a bed and breakfast. If you may remember, a couple years ago, they talked about building an actual hotel on the campus, and that didn't come to fruition. So we bought a bed and breakfast down the road for the college, and they run their hospitality program through that. It lets the students work on taking in reservations. They are the housekeepers. They help with the cooking, the cleaning. They interact with the guests, and it's a hands-on program, which is pretty unique, and it's been well received. We own that for them. In addition, we've bought land, as Dave was just telling you about the research farms. When there's a need, we will buy land adjacent to research farms that allow them to increase their acreage. That's something that sometimes they will come up on short notice or at auction, which is a little more complicated for the university to buy, and we can do that in short stead. We've recently bought acreage in Dunklin County, which let the Delta Center down in southeast corner to expand their reach. We bought acres across from the Bradford Research Farm that was coming up, and we bought land next to the Hark Center, which is the Horticulture and Agroforestry Research Center in Howard County. We bought some acres near there. And then we're working on one we're not quite ready to announce yet, picking up some additional land for the college to work on research.
With all that, and we've heard about all the different ag programs here at the University of Missouri involved with ag education. That probably keeps you guys pretty busy promoting all of those different programs.
It is. We're all volunteers, but we feel we have a good relationship with the college. We have a good relationship with the university, and we take a lot of pride in the fact that we do these kinds of activities. We also do grant programs for faculty and staff, and we help underwrite student internships as well. So we try to be very diversified in the types of activities we take on. A really unique one that is starting to get more and more publicity that I think there's actually an article on the front page of the Kaffner website right now, is the superintendent of the Bradford Research Center came to us with an idea, and he wanted to be one of the leaders in the country, and we were very excited because we always want Kaffner to be on the forefront, was to start a closed loop composting system, but he needed some startup funds. So we provided that. That let him, the vegetables they grow, to take them over to the dining halls. When he picks up the waste from the dining halls, to take those back over to the research farm and then compost those. And that was taking some of the waste that comes off of the animals, and then they turn that into a composting system. And that's a closed loop. They have additional ideas to even broaden that with some of the vehicles that would run off the oil from the dining halls. And we're very excited about the ways we've been able to partner with that. We gave some startup funds for that, as did some other organizations in our community.
And to get something like that going with the composting materials, that's something that anybody can be involved in, because we're seeing so much people wanting to raise their own fruits and vegetables nowadays, whether they're in the country or in the city. You've got everything from big garden plots to just little backyard elevated type gardens, so they can take advantage of that.
Exactly, and that was a great opportunity. The students are in there doing the research, so when you go to Bradford Research Farm and you do their field day, you could actually see what they're doing. You can figure out how to translate back that back to your own situation, but also gave students hands-on research opportunities to learn how to do that. How can they grow that system? Where is the next steps for that system to go? So we enjoy looking at these things at different levels, whether it's the 30,000 foot level, whether it's at the, at the street level where the students can be involved. We are always appreciative when a faculty member comes with an idea, whether it's the dean who comes with an idea, and we try to figure out, now I'm not saying the dean may not get priority, that may happen, but we want to find different ways that we can influence the field of agriculture and really make sure that KFNR stays as one of the top College of Agricultures in the country and in the world.
If somebody wants to get involved with the KFNR Foundation, how do you become a member and get involved? And are there different levels of membership to get involved in?
There are. Anyone can be a member. I am actually not a graduate of the College of Agriculture. That was a miss on my part when I was at Mizzou, but my father and grandfather were. So anyone can be a member. It's $100 for an individual. It's $1,000 and up for a corporation. And you just go to KFNRFoundation.org. We do have an annual meeting every December, and we bring in different speakers. And we do have people who, like myself, we're not necessarily even graduates of Mizzou, but it gives you a chance to stay connected to the industry. So we welcome any and everybody, KFNRFoundation.org.
And you had talked about some of the purchases the foundation has made, but you also accept gifts of land. And of course, those I know have to be very important as well to the KFNR Foundation. And how does somebody go about gifting land if they want to do so?
Well, we have two uses for gifts of land. If it's a piece of land that is near one of our research farms, then we may take it in and hold it because it would need to be close enough that it could be co-managed. If it's one that does not have conditions on it and that we could take it and sell it for cash, then it would go to these kinds of programs that we're talking about. It might be student scholarships, it might be funding the composting project, or other types of new ventures. For example, the very first gift of land helped fund the first director of development at the college when they were first hiring one. So there's been different uses. But if somebody looked at KFNRFoundation.org or contacted the college, we would be happy to look into that. And we do that. We'll take a field trip and see how viable that is and what's the best way to work that out with that individual or that family.
Yeah, because I'm sure all the pieces have to fit into place. It has to be beneficial to everybody involved to be able to make it work.
It does, and we are unique in that we've been able to help other colleges within the university by even taking in gifts for them, or looking at those gifts so that they can actually they can take the money back for their program, but they don't have to walk away from a gift that might have some intricacies involved. And we're invested in doing that for the whole university.
Again, we're visiting with Robin Winokur, the foundation president for KFNR. And if somebody wants to learn more about the KFNR Foundation, how would they go about doing that? You've already mentioned the website a couple of times. Is that the primary way to find out more?
It is, and we will absolutely pop a brochure in the mail to them. They're certainly welcome on the website. It has all of the trustees' email, and happily any of us would pick up the phone and call them. But we are all very passionate about this group. As I said, it's been going on for 84 years. Most of the people, when you look at the trustees, were all involved with the industry of agriculture, and we're all passionate about it in our day-to-day lives.
It certainly is a great thing to have here at the university, and it just all goes hand in hand with everything that the College of Agriculture does here in Columbia.
Like I said, it was a miss. I'm not a KFNR grad, but I wish I was, and I just think it is the most amazing college. And certainly I'm a big Mizzou fan, but KFNR just rings the bells for what the campus does. And I hope everybody knows how proud they should be that we have this college in this state.
Robin, thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate you visiting with us and letting us know about the KFNR Foundation.
Thank you for coming to campus and helping us celebrate.
All right, that's going to do it today. We've got the commodity update from Brownfield coming your way next, and then we'll be back to wrap things up right after this.